This video is brought to you by Squarespace.
You try this. Try this.
What is it?
It's a hot fudge sundae. Just eat it.
The science of a hole is incredible. This circular void is the reason behind so many great things in life. You put a hole in your pants so you can wear them. You put a hole in your walls so you can screw them. You put a hole in your enemies so you can cap them. And you put a hole in cheese to make it taste better. Without holes, life would be surface level. No way to dig deeper. That's why when I discovered the 2003 sci-fi documentary Holes, I was overjoyed with a movie about digging holes. Holes is a Disney movie based on the book of Holes of the same name. On the last Do You Remember video, I covered Surf's Up, an animated movie that starred the Lord and Savior totally sane man Shia LaBeouf and his legacy of voicing a surfing penguin. But before he left us a legacy, there was a time where he was born amongst the stars. He needed to seek redemption as a child actor in Holes. Holes is just an incredible movie through and through. The amount of iconic ass lines and scenes in this movie is a feat to behold. You got some of the cheesiest writing, the weirdest editing, and the most over-the-top acting I have ever seen. Just look at Jon Voight. Look at how he fucking reacts to things. Look at him. I love it so much. No one in this movie is written to be like an actual human being, but God, I do not care. It makes for one of the most entertaining experiences ever. It's a movie that just feels untouched by the elements of time. Like an artifact discovered in the desert. It feels so disconnected and so strange to actually be a functioning movie, but it's so fun.
Excuse me, can you throw that in another pile or something? Because it keeps getting in my hole.
Shut up, man. Shut up. Watch where you moving your dirt.
Watch where you throwing your dirt, Stanley.
The movie is about Shia LaBeouf, bonafide badass, and his struggle of being sent to camp for bad kids, and everyone there has to dig hundreds and hundreds of holes. So the movie begins with a bunch of kids digging holes within a desert. You got one kid who notices a snaky boy, so he goes to take off his shoes and goes over to play footsies and screams in his pleasure of his happiness. Cut to a pair of shoes flying in the air, and we see Shia LaBeouf walking down the street until the shoes fall straight on his head. We then meet his parents. You got Fonzie and that mom from the Fred movie. The Fonzie dad has a really obsessive foot fetish, so when the cops come to investigate, he tries to hit on them.
Could I just smell your shoe? How about if you take your shoe off?
The cops are offended, so they send his son to camp jail. Shia plays the character of Stanley Yelnats. Yelnats is Stanley backwards, so his name is Stanley. What a nerd. So when he gets to camp, he meets Mr. Sir.
I'm not gonna run away, Mrs. Sir.
Good thinking, Nats. Doesn't nobody run away from here. You know why?
We also meet that guy who looks like if the letter Y was a person, as well as a lot of kids at the camp. These are the kind of kids that act real tough, but you know they got that deep sensitive side deep down within them. You also meet Zero. He's called Zero because he's super quiet and the amount of fucks he gives are zero. We then get a flashback of his family telling the flashback of an old story of Kissing Kate Barlow. We learn that Shia's great-grandfather was robbed by Kissing Kate and she stole his treasure chest. We then cut to Shia Stanley's first day of digging holes. He learns that he's digging to find something, but also not. But he also is, but he's also not. It's very confusing. We then get yet another flashback even further back in time about Stanley Shia's great-great-great-grandfather. And it gets a little weird and complicated. Some shit about pig trading and arranged marriages.
You can keep my pig as wedding present.
And the dude has to bring an old lady to the mountain or his bloodline is cursed. It gets really weird, but it's pretty funny.
If you forget to come back for Madame Zeroni, you and your family will be cursed for always and eternity.
Later that night, in the present, Stanley gets held at gunpoint by Mr. Sir. Here we get some beautiful CGI lizard carnage. But just keep looking at Jon Voight's face. I mean, how can you not enjoy that? Why does he look like that? What's he doing? What is he doing? So Shia digs some more holes. He finds a fossil, and we get yet another flashback. Here we see Kissing Kate Barlow before she's kissing Kate Barlow. We also meet Sam, who's selling onions. and that is a fat ass onion. But Sam is incredible. We'll get to him in a bit, but he's iconic as fuck. So we get more hole digging, and more hole digging. Oh baby, just watch them dig those beautiful holes. But then, oh shit, Stanley found something. So everyone comes to see what it is.
Let me see that.
But this one kid comes up and takes that shiz, so he can get the day off tomorrow. Since one of the kids found something, the head honcho finally comes out, and we meet Miss Sigourney fucking Weaver. She runs the joint and she fucking owns your ass.
But first, fill everyone's canteen.
I already filled them.
Excuse me?
I had already filled them when you drove up in the car.
Excuse me? Did I ask you when you last filled them?
Flashback time. So we now get Sam and Not kissing Kate Barlow going on a montage of how they got closer and closer together. Sam gets his way into her life by fixing all that is broken. This man is a real fixer-upper.
I'll fix that roof in exchange for 3 jars of your spice peaches.
He fixes her roof, her door. I mean, he could probably fix a broken marriage.
I can fix that.
This man is like fucking flex tape. He comes at her later on when she's crying, and you know what he says to her?
I can fix that.
Oh my god! This man can fix the stairway to heaven, and he'll have to because later on he fucking dies. But you know, back to the present, and all the boys are digging mad holes. One kid plays a prank on Mr. Sir and steals his bag of sunflower seeds, and then he turns around and comes back for them, so the kid throws a bag at Stanley and gets the boy in some hot shit.
How did this get here?
What?
How did that get there? Did it fall from the sky? Huh?
So Mr. Sir takes Shia back to the warden, and oh boy, the warden is like, "You're really bugging me over this stupid bullshit? I'ma slice you up real quick." So she cuts his face, and Stanley goes back to dig some holes. Turns out that Zero penetrated Shia's hole before he could, so in turn he offers to teach Zero how to read. We then get a montage of Kissing Kate Barlow taking revenge on a bunch of shitty men across the lands, and soon the letter Y guy insults Zero so hard that Zero starts to give more than 0 fucks, and he slaps him with the shovel and runs away into the desert. Shia Stanley is inspired by his rebellion, so he steals Mr. Sir's truck and drives away until he falls into a hole. He gets out and runs into the desert until he comes across an old boat Zero is laying under. Underneath, they drink this black sludge that Zero calls sploosh, and they head out towards the nearest mountain. It turns out that Stanley's great-great-great-grandfather survived by going to this same mountain because it's called God's Erection. They climb the mountain, and once they get to the top, they find water. But not just water, they find fucking onions. Red, fat-ass onions. Sweet fucking red, fat-ass onions. That sustains them. This movie really made me believe that red onions were actually some kind of dessert growing up. So we then get another flashback. Dude, this movie is only flashbacks and holes. What do you want me to say? So we learn that Zero is the reason Shia LaDick dude is in the prison camp. It turns out that Zero was homeless and he stole the shoes. And when he heard cops coming, he took off the shoes and threw them over the ledge, but somehow had enough time to tie them together, I guess. And so Shia ended up here, and Zero got caught like a day later stealing other shit, and that's why he's there too. So back to the camp, Shia Stanley's lawyer arrives and wonders, "Yo, where the fuck is Stanley? This boy is free to go home." But they're still at the mountain. But they get a real good urge to go dig up some holes, and they go and dig a beautiful hole. And oddly enough, they ended up finding the treasure Kissing Kate Barlow stole from his great-grandfather. Oh, and she fucking died when she just gave up on running from the cops after she buried all of the loot that she took from crappy men. We also learned that the warden is the daughter of one of those crappy men, and she was forced to dig holes as a kid to find the treasure in the lake.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
What the fuck? So that's why all these boys gotta dig and shit. So while Stanley and Zero are in the hole with the treasure, they're also covered with a bunch of deadly lizards. But Stanley is just like, fuck it, I'm getting out. So he gets out and tells the warden off, and turns out that the treasure has Shia's name on it, and the lawyer gets the camp closed down. Shia becomes a millionaire because it turns out that the treasure chest had like insane amounts of treasure in it. Zero gives more than 0 fucks, and his dad with the foot fetish starts a company called Sploosh, and the end. It's a happy ending, huzzah blah, everything works out. Holes has an incredibly convoluted, mad convenient plot that is strange as fuck and makes no sense. But god, do I adore it. The entire movie is just full of constant energy in the weird editing or from the over-the-top performances. From all of the iconic lines and moments, you can see why I love this movie so much. I mean, just look at all of those beautiful holes. So many beautiful fucking holes. I can't describe them perfect enough. I have to send it to my boy Nitpicks to bring the beauty of holes some real justice.
Holes, you make my heart whole. With your many holy holes, it's amazing how empty one can feel without your holes inside to make one whole. How many things can one stuff inside a hole until it becomes a lesser hole? If you fill a hole with a whole lot of sand and dig in the same spot, will it ever be the same hole again? All these people in the film digging hundreds and hundreds of holes, and yet there's only one hole that matters, and that's you, holes. I could go on and on about wanting you to fill my holes, but it's best our holes remain separate holes for now.
Holes is an incredible masterpiece. Its beauty is incomparable. But you know, those holes are going to waste. It would have been great if they had like a way to present like a portfolio or some kind of gallery online for others to look at. Oh wait, they can, and you can too, with this week's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform with no updates, no plugins, no patches, whatever. You can create a stunningly beautiful website to show off all of your holes, just like I did. With 24/7, 365-day support, you can guarantee that you'll always have someone to help you on your site, day or night, for all of your hole-related, gallery-related questions. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com/24framesofnick and use code 24framesofnick to get 10% off your first purchase. Actually, there's something else in Stanley's treasure chest. Oh my god, it's this special offer from Squarespace, wow! Squarespace.com/24framesofnick and code 24framesofnick for 10% off your first purchase. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, thanks to Nitpicks for reading that beautiful poem on holes, and my boy William for eating that fat-ass red onion. We also got a first official merch for this channel. You can get yourself a sexy-ass shirt of my logo. It's the 24th of its kind. And it says that High School Musical 2 was a masterpiece on the back. Like, come on, it's amazing. It comes in a long sleeve or short sleeve, or you can get a shirt with my fucking face on it if you want. It comes in short sleeve or hoodie. Links in the description. Get yourself something nice. You deserve it.